What is up, everybody? It's Justin Gaming here. So it's been a while since I talked about The Last of Us Part 2, and now that the news about the announcement of the game has kind of settled down, so I thought today I'm going to be doing some early predictions for the game, and by the time the game releases, we'll see how close these predictions are. So yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into the predictions. These predictions are basically going to be of different categories and everything like that. So some of them are going to be story predictions, some of them are going to be about the gameplay and the release date. So yeah, let's get straight into it. I have 5 predictions, starting us off with the very first prediction, and this prediction is in regards to the theory that's been going all over the internet. I'm sure you've seen it by now, but of course the theory is that in the Last of Us Part 2 announcement video, we see Joel basically walk in through the door through the white light, and we never really get to see his face, and at the same time his wording of choice at the end when he talks to Ellie, where he's asking her like, is she sure she wants to go down this path? He never mentions that he's going to be there. It's led many people to believe that Joel is actually dead in The Last of Us Part 2, and basically whenever he's in the game, it'll only be through Ellie's imagination. So basically my prediction right now is that obviously this theory is definitely not true. I just want to say that right away. I don't think that Joel is dead in The Last of Us Part 2, at least not in the beginning, because if you look at The Last of Us 2 or The Last of Us Part 2, it's really like this thing where many people either love it or they hate it right now, because I know a lot of people, they actually didn't want The Last of Us Part 2 because they thought that The Last of Us Part 2 would be like kind of like ruining the ending of the first game, where the ending of the first game, it was really left for the player to it was really like an open ending where you can think of it yourself and stuff like that. And now that there's a Last of Us Part 2, you can't really do that because it is a continuation from The Last of Us. So yeah, I can definitely see that since many people didn't even want a Last of Us 2, they definitely like need to make a really good entry into the franchise, or else it wouldn't really be worth it to exist, if you get what I mean. So in that way, I can definitely see that Joel isn't dead. Also the fact that because Neil Druckmann knows what he's doing, you know, he's not going to write off Joel right away from the start of the game, because Joel is such an important character. He was such an important character in the first Last of Us, and Joel and Ellie are these two characters that have really grown on people, and people have really gotten attached to, not just fans of the game, but also Naughty Dog is a studio. They've said it many times that they care so much about these characters, and they want to make sure that this entry is even worth being told, of course. So yeah, if it wasn't worth being told, they wouldn't have created this game, and obviously they do believe in themselves that they can make at least a game that is up to standards with the original Last of Us, or even better, or else they wouldn't be making it at all. So yeah, that leads me back to the fact that I don't think Joel is dead, at least in the beginning of The Last of Us Part 2. So yeah, that's my very first prediction. Moving on to the second prediction, and this is going to be about the gameplay reveal. So personally right now, I think that The Last of Us Part 2 will get a gameplay reveal at E3 2017, and the reason I'm saying this is because if you look at the first Last of Us, that was announced back, I think it was late 2011 after Uncharted 3 released, and I think it was announced at the Spike Video Game Awards in 2011, correct me if I'm wrong, and we got a gameplay reveal at E3 2012, and that was only half a year later, and I think they can do the exact same thing here with The Last of Us Part 2. And although Neil Druckmann did say that, of course, the game is in super early development, you have to understand that this game has already been in development for a super long time. Like they said, The Last of Us Part 2, that trailer was shot over 2 years ago, I think. So yeah, they've definitely been working on this game for a while now, and although they did make Uncharted 4 in between, I'm sure they've had a small group of people working out stuff for The Last of Us Part 2. So yeah, I think by E3 2017 we can definitely get a gameplay reveal. Also the fact that if you look at the way at E3 2015 where they showed off Uncharted 4 at the end, it just blew everyone's minds, because there is that level of respect that everyone has for Naughty Dog. And once again, I think if they did the exact same thing with The Last of Us Part 2 here, maybe like either start the show or close the show, and basically had a gameplay reveal, it would make everybody lose their minds. Like, they would go crazy. So I think E3 2017 would be a great place where they can show off the gameplay for The Last of Us Part 2. And yeah, that's why I'm predicting that it's going to be shown at E3 2017. So moving on to the next prediction, this is in regards to the release date of the game. And right now, I believe that the game will be releasing in fall of 2018. Now, many people have said that this game won't be coming out until 2019 at least, because they said the game has been in like it's super early development and they're nowhere near being like ready to ship the game or anything, of course, and they're still going to need lots of time to work on the game. But I just think once again that they have been working on this game ever since the original Last of Us ended, and yeah, so I just think that by fall 2018 we'll definitely be getting the game. And originally I had thought it would be coming out by summer 2018, because if you look at the original Last of Us, that did really well releasing in the summer because there weren't too many other games that were coming around the same time. But I just think summer 2018 might be too early, also because Naughty Dog is currently working on Uncharted: The Lost Legacy at the same time, and that's looking to come out in the summer of 2017. So basically, by the time it's summer 2017, the rest of the Uncharted team that's working on Uncharted: The Lost Legacy will be done that game, and basically everyone can shift over to The Last of Us Part 2 and basically put all their work into that game. So yeah, that's why I'm currently saying fall 2018 right now, and yeah, that's when I think it's going to be coming out. So moving on to the fourth prediction now. I think, well, this is actually kind of a bold prediction. I think The Last of Us Part 2 will have a definitive ending, and by that ending, both Joel and Ellie will survive, and neither one of them will die. And the reason I'm saying this, once again, refers back to my very first prediction where I thought Joel is definitely not dead. If you look at it once again, The Last of Us Part 2 is really this game where some people really want it and some people really don't, because they think the magic from the first game will be lost. And you have to understand that, once again, this story has to be worth telling in order for them to make the game around it, because they have said that, of course, that they love these characters so much, and they wouldn't be doing this unless they were confident in themselves that they can make a story that was up to par, or if even better. So yeah, I think by the end, Joel and Ellie will both survive, and I think this will be the final Last of Us, meaning that The Last of Us Part 2 will conclude Joel and Ellie's story, and there won't be a sequel after this. And yeah, I don't know, I just have that kind of feeling, because with The Last of Us, it was even like it wasn't really a question if there was going to be a Last of Us Part 2, because I think it was pretty obvious there was going to be a Last of Us 2, because obviously if you look at the success of the original Last of Us, how well it did for both PlayStation and Sony, it wasn't really a question if there was going to be a Last of Us 2, it was just a question when it was going to come. So yeah, but I just have this feeling that after this game there won't be another Last of Us. I'm not really too sure why, but yeah, that's just my gut feeling right now. I don't think we'll be seeing another Last of Us after The Last of Us Part 2. So yeah, that's my fourth prediction. The Last of Us Part 2 will be the definitive ending for Joel and Ellie, and both of them will survive. Now, moving on to my final prediction for The Last of Us Part 2, and this one is quite bold, because I think that The Last of Us Part 2 will be received even better than the original Last of Us. Now, this one is kind of a bold prediction. If you just look at the sales, for example, I think obviously the sales will be even better than the original Last of Us, because I think the original Last of Us sold around like 7 million copies. I remember the last time I checked it was like 7 million. And then we saw with Uncharted 4, the numbers were just released recently, and it said the game had already sold 8.7 million copies, which is absolutely insane, considering there's only like 55 million PS4s in the world. There's already like almost 9 million copies of Uncharted 4 out there that people are playing. Yeah, it's just really crazy to see that many fans of PlayStation love Uncharted, and the same can be said for The Last of Us, because obviously so many fans of the original Last of Us will be playing The Last of Us Part 2. So yeah, obviously just based on the sales, I think The Last of Us Part 2 can do even better than 7 million, or potentially even better than Uncharted 4. But yeah, we'll have to see and wait for that. But I think, yeah, The Last of Us Part 2 will have better sales than the original Last of Us, and also it will be received even better than the original Last of Us. Now, this one I'm not really too sure about right now, but I just have that gut feeling. Once again, as I said, Neil Druckmann said you have to trust him. You basically just have to put faith into Naughty Dog that they can do better than even the original Last of Us. And once again, back to the fact that they wouldn't be making this game if they didn't know or if they didn't believe that they couldn't live up to the standards of a Naughty Dog game, and both The Last of Us and Uncharted 4 maybe even. So yeah, they wouldn't be making a Last of Us Part 2 if they didn't think it would live up to the original Last of Us, because As all of us fans love these characters, Naughty Dog loves them more than anybody because these are characters that they created, Neil Druckmann especially. So yeah, I just think that The Last of Us Part 2, with all this anticipation, it's definitely going to live up to the hype. Naughty Dog knows how to make great games, and if there's any game developer that can make a sequel even better than the original, it's Naughty Dog, because we've clearly seen them do it before with other franchises like Uncharted, of course. And yeah, so I think The Last of Us Part 2 will be received both in sales, and it will be like a higher Metacritic score than the original Last of Us. So yeah, those were my 5 predictions in regards to The Last of Us Part 2. Please make sure to let me know your thoughts down below in the comments if you have any predictions for the game. And for now, I'd like to thank you a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.